So, but if you have a lot of stuff on it, that won't happen. So yeah, all the cabinets, yeah, take your own little field trip over to the auditorium someday and check all that out. The nice thing about this is pretty much everything you need is right here, in here. This is great, the first page before the lessons, it talks about everything that you kind of need to go through. So I will kind of give you like a bit step-by-step kind of thing for that. So, okay, I'm pretending I'm a first grade docent, and I will come in like 10 to 15 minutes before my lesson. I will go into the auditorium, we'll sign in, then go into the auditorium, and then I will pull out the prints that I need, and I will pull out paper, enough paper for my class, and I will pull out the material or the medium, whatever it is. For this one, it's chalk pastels, and it says in the lesson to use all the supplies is on the very bottom of each lesson. And this one says to use dark blue construction paper, broken chalk pastel trays, which is what these are, and I'll show those to you in a minute. White chalk, so I hope there's white chalk in there, so we'll have to pull that in. Hand wipes, hopefully we'll have some hand wipes. A lot of the teachers do have hand wipes too. And then hairspray, that just helps fix the chalk so it doesn't like smear and rub off on your hands and everybody else's artwork. So I pick up all that, load it up. If I need to cut paper, I'll do a quick stop at the teacher's workroom and cut the paper, and then I'm off to the classroom. And I'll come into the classroom, wait for the teacher until she's ready, and then go up front and say hi. So introduce yourself, tell the kids how excited you are to be their art docent. The kids usually love the art docents, and they're so excited to have you there. Each grade has a theme. The theme for first grade is seasons. So the season that I'll be doing today is winter. I love if you haven't done it yet, the autumn one is a wax resist with leaves, and it is awesome. I just love that one. You draw with crayon, the leaves. You gotta use not washable crayons. You gotta use the real wax crayons for that, because the washable ones don't work. But you draw these leaves, or you can do rubbings with the crayons, and then you do watercolor paints on top of it, and it just pops out. It's just so amazing. So anyway, but that's not what we're doing. So okay, this is that one was too messy. So, but I'd like to see how the liquid watercolors work with that. Yeah. That should be neat. All right. So I would have already put my lesson on the Shutterfly website. I'm in the room with the teacher, introducing myself, tell the kids this is about seasons. Last time when I came in, we talked about autumn. What season comes next? So you're just kind of drawing them in. Okay, winter, yeah. So how do things change? We talked about how the leaves change on the trees in autumn. How do things change in the winter? Get them thinking about winter and what happens. Like, how do you dress in the wintertime? And then it says, I've got a couple of prints here. And this is the first one. The kids go, ooh, ah. This is a winter scene. This is a painting by Currier and Ives. So tell me what's happening. So you ask the kids, what's going on here? What do you see? And sometimes you have to walk around. If you're in a kindergarten room, it's great to gather them on the carpet. First grade, sometimes they can make room for that too. In the upper grades, I'm always walking around with it. But walk around, show them it, and they'll point it out and say, what colors do you notice in here? Kindergarten, they learn about warm and cold colors. So there's a lot of cold colors. There are some warm colors in here. Talk about how they're dressed maybe, or what do you think's happening here? And then you can tell them this is called Home to Thanksgiving. And it's a print by Currier and Ives. The original painting was by someone else, by a G.H. Dury. and then Currier and Ives would do lithographs. You don't have to tell the kids that. But learn about a little bit about the artists. And you don't have to get into big detail, but just tell them this was back when there wasn't cameras. Cameras weren't really, popular. They didn't produce prints with cameras. So this is how people learned about how it was back west in the West Coast. They do pictures from artists that went back west and came back, and they produced these and distribute it. So that's one way that people got to know about it. So that's one scene, one winter scene. Then you might ask the kids, what do you do in the winter? What are some fun things you like to do? Does anybody go to the snow? Or haven't had a whole lot of snow lately. But they might say, oh, we like sledding. And this is just another example of a Currier and Ives again. And this is called a spill out in the snow. So you might ask the kids, what's happening here? What colors do you see? Does it look cold? Just get them thinking about it. And there's motion. There's a lot of motion happening in here. But I wouldn't be telling them so much. I'd be asking them, how do they show this motion? What's going on? How do you know that there's movement happening? So ask a lot of questions. And actually in your notebook also, at the back side of all the lessons, the next pink flip over is a lot of questions and questioning strategies. So those are really good to look at as well. And please fill in if there's anything that I'm forgetting. So I would talk about the pictures and the artist for about maybe 5 to 15 minutes. So not a whole lot of time because, like Chris said, the kids really want to do the artwork. So the next thing you do is describe what the art lesson is. And for this particular one, they're supposed to produce a piece of artwork of them doing some kind of winter activity. So ask them, what do you do in the winter? What do you like to do? Is it sledding? Is it puddle jumping? What do you like to do? And that's what you need to do. So you ask them to picture it in their mind and think of how they want to display that. And keep it simple and make it big. You could tell them this is going to go up on a wall and people are going to walk by and they're going to look at it. If it's really little, they're not going to be able to see it unless they walk right up to the wall and look at it. Detail's great, but they can't see that. So make it big. Make everything really big. So they will draw a winter scene. That's why you need the white chalk. This is great. It has lots of questions in here too. It says, what are you doing? Who are you with? Don't forget your hat and mittens. Things like that. So they can add those in. Okay, so when you do it, one thing I would suggest to all of you is before you give a lesson that you actually try doing it yourself. That just demystifies the whole thing, and you will come across problem areas that you may not have even thought about. You'll start seeing the kids, if you don't do it beforehand, the kids start doing it and you're like, don't do that all of a sudden. But if you do it ahead of time, it kind of gives you an idea to know what to expect. Some kids don't know even to turn like a crayon or a chalk on its side and use a broad kind of wash, I guess, of the crayon or the chalk. And that's a quick way to get color on it rather than, scratching the whole thing. So you'll describe the activity, pass out the paper, and emphasize this. The very first thing they should do is, yes. Every year I have someone who has not put their name down, or 2 or 3, and I'm always like, okay, who's missing? And it's hard to try to find that missing person. Sometimes you have to come back in and say, does anybody recognize these? So, but if they can all get their names on it, I even go through now. I go through again and I ask them, did you put put your name on it? Did you put your name on it? So it just makes it so much easier later on. Then they can start working as they go. You can answer questions, encourage them. I get some kids that they do beautiful work and you're just like, that's awesome. And then they keep working it and they keep working it and they keep working it. And I'm like, I'll take that. But it's like, that's their expression. So it runs the gamut. You get the ones that put so much and then you get the others that like, I'm done. So like, do you want to add some color to the trees? Just encourage them, ask them anything more. When it's about 15 minutes before they need to clean up, tell them 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, okay, turn them all in. One thing I would suggest with the pastels, that goes for oil pastels and chalk pastels, ask the kids, actually this is not for the younger grades, the chalk pastels, the broken chalk pastels are used for kindergarten through, I believe, second or third grade. And then the actual chalk pastel boxes get used with the bigger grades. But make sure that they are laid flat before they slide them into their case, because otherwise they get all jumbled up and broken and it's a big mess. So just a suggestion. I think those are the main, you use those a lot. Oh, and you'll get some hairspray. And those of you in first grade and kindergarten, especially, there's a lot of chalk. So this is my little example of me sledding down a hill. So you take these outside, because this is really stinky. Take it outside and you just kind of spray over it, not drenching it, but getting it enough so that it won't be smearing with it, okay? And then you collect, these will tend to curl up, and if it's a windy day, they'll be blowing all over the place. But if you could find a place at home where you can like put them in a box or something, put a book on top or something to just kind of help flatten it out, so that by the time you pull it out in May, it's nice and flat and stay on the wall beautifully flat. And I think that's about it. Anything else?
What about kids who say things, or who ask questions like, can I put ninjas on here? Or, I don't really want to do that. Can I put a dinosaur? What do you usually, like, do you stick to the lesson and try and encourage them to be creative within the parameters of the lesson? Or
Definitely, yeah. I look at what the lesson is trying to do. Like this one, the main parameters is that they had to do a winter scene with them doing something in it. Okay, now if they're going to have a dinosaur peeking over the back, sure, why not? It is up to you. If you think it'll totally spoil their work or something, whatever, but sure, creative license, let the kids have at it for the most part. But if a kid says, can I do me, I don't know, swimming in the Amazon? Supposed to be a winter picture. Did you go to the Amazon in the wintertime? I don't know. So anyway, so try to kind of stick with what the lesson suggests, but let them be creative too. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there someone who monitors the supplies to make sure that if we're running low, they get refilled? Or?
Yes, I try to do that. I would like, if you notice that paper's getting low, if you could shoot a little message. I think there's a tab on the Shutterfly page that says about supplies. So if you notice something's getting low, just let me know. I try to check up on it. I'm not the greatest at it, but I try.
And on that note, it looks like we can buy supplies if we need to and just submit receipts to Chris. But as long as it's not too much.
right, like for instance with the road projects, you might want to, we're trying to branch out to different mediums and different supplies. So it's around $30, so that's $1 per kid in the class. But you fill out a PTA form. I'm going to put the PTA form on the Shutterfly site. I think there's also a PTA form on the Crocker Riverside site. You actually fill that out, put it in an envelope with the receipt, and then you give it to the office, and they or they have a PTA box there, and then you'll get a check in the mail.
Okay.
Like I just got one today, so.
So how do you handle when kids want to talk about their own experiences, especially the younger grades, when they went to their vacation, a winter vacation with their aunt and uncle, and they saw this and that, you know, and then but you love to hear it, but it takes time. So what do you do in those circumstances?
Right, I'm not the greatest at that, because I wanna hear, right? But then everybody else has got their hands up, all of a sudden, like the whole room's hands are going up because they wanna share, and you'll say, so glad you all had a great experience, we don't have time to hear from everybody, maybe 2 more or something, I don't know, what do you guys do?
Yeah, or just you draw it back to the art, you know, it's like, that sounds like a great experience, how can you capture that and put that into?
Yeah, okay, good, yeah,
Because a lot of time, I mean, they have so many ideas that, it's like, that's great, but how are you gonna simplify that to something that you can draw in the next half hour?
yeah. You'll find kids, they have this grandiose dreams of how their art's gonna look, and when they start putting it on the paper, they get very frustrated sometimes. And so stick figures are great. You could draw a little stick figure and then put clothes on it. Put a little face, a little curly hair or something, and it looks pretty good, you know. Just tell them keep it simple. Don't expect to be a, you know, Descartes or Van Gogh or.
There's
Van
no
Gogh's pretty
perfection. I mean,
childish,
but,
like,
you know, that's the thing too, right? It's like you're supposed to make mistakes. When kids do that, oh, I made a mistake. I'm like, you're supposed to. That's what
Right.
art is. Sometimes the
Right.
best stuff comes from mistakes. So, because I have a kid who's a perfectionist, and that's why I got into this in the first place, is because she would get so frustrated just trying to draw a line, and it wasn't exactly, and you go, you know what? Art isn't about perfection, it's about, you know, creativity, and sometimes the most creative stuff comes out of just nowhere, and sometimes the worst mistake can all of a sudden turn into something really awesome, you know, so.
Right.
They're not gonna do any horrible stuff on the page, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, a tip for the art show, you will notice that there will be like a kid or two that really have a hard time coming up with anything that looks like anything. Use them first, find their best art thing and include that as one of your 3 projects that you're gonna put up. So just go off of those kids that struggle the most in creating anything, and use their best ones as one to use, and then pull everybody else's from those. Just a suggestion.
That's a great idea, I do that too, yeah.
Because those people that do great, everything's great, yeah, it doesn't matter, you can fit it in anywhere, yeah.
I had just one more. If teachers are requesting additional art lessons or that you come in and help with classroom art projects that tie into other lesson plans, are we allowed to use supplies from the art docent cabinet and kind of do that as requested? Is there a limit to
That's
that?
a good question. I think teachers have a supply. of
Yeah, they have their
stuff.
own stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, the supply cabinet is specifically for art docent lessons or art docent projects. And they get money from the PTA too, for supplies for the classroom and stuff, so they're pretty covered. Did you have something to say about
Well,
that?
and there are times when, for some of their activities, that we've used the classroom supplies. So it's like we use classroom crayons or classroom markers.
Right, yes.
Or colored pencils, just because, it's a simple solution.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's it, thank you, Lori. Okay, does anybody have any more questions? If you don't, we're out of here. Great.
I just want to show you guys the chalk pastels.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So they had like a whole bunch of bowls and things. So they'll just kind of scoop up a bunch of them and set them on the table, and the kids are just kind of have at it in the kindergarten and first grade. I think they're grouped in desks of 4 or something. So we'll do that. That's it. Spray it.
Take a bow.